How to rewire our brain. So enough from me, over to you.
Thank you very much. No, I'm looking forward to this. Before I get started, has anyone actually been hypnotized before? No? No? No one. Has anyone meditated before? Meditate. Okay, perfect. So hypnosis is very similar to meditation, just a much deeper frame of mind. And so anyone that has meditated, it's nothing scarier than that. But most people probably have some connotations or negative connotations with hypnosis. You see it on stage. You see people in the movies like sleep and then they nick their wallet and like that. Like obviously, that's not what I do. I'm a hypnotherapist, not a bad guy. But I want to take you through what I've done, how to rewire my mind and teach you how you can do something yourself as well. Because I used to have really bad anxiety to the point of sitting up here I would have just gone into panic and just not been able to do this. So I was able to change my life, and now I want to help people change their life and help you rewire your mind, because the mind is very malleable as well. A lot of people think what we know is what we know, but if we start to change the way we think, we start to change our reality external as well, and it all starts with our thoughts at the end of the day. So I'm just going to go through this, and I will also go through a process of how you can use self-hypnosis in your life. So that you can actually walk away and you can go home and you can use this for, whether that's for running, whether that's for jobs, whatever it is that you want to do, so that you can really start to create your reality and change your life as well. And also for you to understand that there's no one way to do anything in life. This is sort of, I like this philosophy, is there's many millions of right ways, and I'm just going to give you a right way. This has worked for me, this has worked for many people that I've worked with, and it's just a new way and a slightly different way to the generic way which most people will see in their life. So also I want everyone to realize that you are your own genius. I'm not here to say that I'm a genius for the mind. I'm a genius for me, and you're a genius for you, you're a genius for you, I was a genius for himself. Everyone here, you're a genius for yourself. And when you can tap into that power, that's when you can start to really change your whole life. And it really just happens in a very short period of time. And also there's no one way to lead our life. So what works for me won't necessarily work for everyone here. And I'm not saying self-hypnosis is the only way to do this, but this is just a resource that everyone here can use to make some shifts in their life, if that makes sense. Because when we begin to enhance the power of our own mind, everything is possible. And you've probably seen it, people talking about, if you've got a great mindset in life, you could have every skill in the world. But if you don't have the mindset to believe that you can do that, whatever it is, whether that being an engineer, whether that being an athlete, whether that being a speaker, whatever it is, if you don't believe that you can do it, you're never gonna really get to that point. And understanding that the reason we have what we have in life is because of our subconscious programs. And that's what I'm gonna talk about, the subconscious mind. So when I talk about the mind and the subconscious mind is just part of our mind that everyone has, and it just, I'll explain it in a minute, but it just sort of stores all the information in there and allows us to make these shifts. The reason we feel as we feel about ourselves. So do we look in the mirror and think, you are beautiful? Or do we look in the mirror and think, you are disgusting? This is how you look. And this is what we can really understand. Like, it's not a truth. It's just an opinion at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? Like how I feel about myself is not necessarily a truth. I could be overweight and I could look disgusting, but I could feel great. And if that works for you, that works for you. And I'm not one to judge. No one can tell me how to feel, but I can tell myself how to feel. And when I start to realize how I feel about myself, then everything again is possible, is completely changeable. And the reason you do what you do on a daily basis is down to, again, your subconscious programs, because we live 95% of our life in our subconscious mind. So our subconscious mind effectively runs the whole of our life. The reason everyone in here speaks English or whatever language you speak, you might speak another language, I only speak one language, English, is because I have been brought up in a family that speaks English. The reason I have the accent I have is because of the accents that I've been around. And from age 0 to 7, that is programmed. We are essentially programmed. And I'll sort of explain how the mind takes it in, and then I'll explain how self-hypnosis works as well. But when I say about why you can't attain certain things or why you do attain certain things, it's all based on a belief that we believe is possible. Why people earn a certain amount of money. Someone in here may be earning 10 grand a year, someone may be earning 100 grand a year. Someone may be in a great relationship, someone may be in an awful relationship. And it's all based on the belief that we believe we can have exactly what we set out to achieve effectively. And one of my favorite books, Think and Grow Rich, I don't know if anyone's read it before. Has anyone read that? Yeah? It's a really good book. I recommend it if anyone wants to. By Napoleon Hill. He said a quote which is, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And it's a generic quote that you've probably heard if you do personal development. And it really starts with that. What we believe is possible eventually can happen. We just got to plug away at it and eventually get to that place. And it was actually the first book I ever listened to. And everyone here is a massive Adidas fan. When I lost all my money and I went completely broke, I had to sell all of my Nike shoes just to... I say everyone will love that. Just to be able to eat and to buy books and stuff like that. And that was one of the first books. So yeah, I sold my Nikes and now I've got a nice pair of Adidas. And I've been kitted out in complete Adidas as well. It's brilliant. So the subconscious mind, as I said, everyone has a subconscious mind. And a great exercise that I can get everyone to do is just to think, if you all went to school in the UK, I know in the US, if anyone's from the US or another country, I'm not sure what it's like there, but can you remember the colour of your first school uniform or your first car, yeah? Has anyone actually thought about that today, the first school uniform you had? No? So that information is in there somewhere. Your mind had to, you go into like a file in the computer, you go into this file, then you go into there and you find it, so you have to go back to age 12, this colour or this school uniform, these friends, and then you find the school uniform colour. So the information is readily available, you just have to find it. Now, everything that's going on in our life is down to what we think, and 95% of that is unconscious. So every day we think about 3,500 conscious thoughts. So me, for example, today, driving to London, I hate driving in London, it scares the hell out of me. Where I drive in Eastbourne is just the most rural area. There's traffic lights here and there. Down a road I was driving down, there's one every 10 seconds. So it's actually a bit, there's so much going on. So I'm more conscious and my mind is more aware. Versus when I get home and I'm driving around all these certain areas, I drive to the beach every day, I know the route, I don't have to think about it. And everyone, does most of you drive here? Most people? No? Some people? You may ride a bike, drive, whatever it is, or even tying your laces. You don't have to think about tying your laces. You don't have to think about brushing your teeth. You don't have to think about driving. But when you first got in that car, when you first got on a bike, there was so much for you to think about. And if anyone drives a manual, you have to think about, right, foot on the clutch, put it into first, check your mirrors, is my seatbelt on, bit of on the accelerator, a bit off the clutch. There's so much going on, but eventually it becomes one process, just one cognition. But initially it starts off as so many different things. And that's the same with hypnosis, that's the same with meditation. Anyone that has meditated before, if you start meditation, you're like, right, I've got to sit here, I've got to focus on my breathing, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. Oh, now I'm getting bored. What's my mind going to? Now I'm thinking of this. And then the mind starts going everywhere, and you originally started to calm the mind, and you end up getting all flustered. Right, that's it, I've screwed myself. I've been thinking too much. And that's where a lot of people stop doing things like meditation, because they start in a place of getting themselves all wound up. And when we start to get wound up, we just naturally move away from it because our mind just wants to survive. That's how the mind works. But also the mind is emotional and not logical. So imagine your subconscious mind like a 3-year-old child who wants this toy and starts stamping its feet in this toy shop saying, I need this police car, I need this police car. The parents, no, you can't have it, you can't. Eventually the child wins because the emotional mind always is like, okay, you can have it or whatever. And if something's logical, for example, let's say someone has massive stage fright. And I'm not going to, but if I was to ask someone to come up here who had massive stage fright, the emotional mind would be like, no, I don't want to do that. Everyone's going to laugh at me. It's like, no, everyone here actually probably wants you to do well. Everyone here wants to support you. But the emotional mind is thinking, no, this one thing happened to me, which holds on to that. And we were saying it about Io with apples. You said...
I don't like apples.
He doesn't like apples. Yeah. So when you were, how old was it, you said?
I think I was about 7.
7.
I ate an apple that was meant for cooking. That's a fair. So I ate that and threw up. Then since then I don't touch apples.
Yeah.
I drink like apple juices and stuff, but I thought a bit.
So effectively what's happening is the emotional mind is jumping in place to say, okay, this is scary. Realistically, you know an apple's not scary. But you'll look at it and you'll be like, I'm not having that. There's no way I'm having that. Because the emotional mind remembers when I was 10 years old or however old you were, it remembers fear and I need to be safe. Because obviously if you throw up, naturally you don't want to touch something that made you throw up. So that's where the mind goes. And it's same with like alcoholic drinks. If you ever had an alcoholic drink and you got too drunk on it and you just like black out, you were throwing up, the next day you go near that drink and you're like, I can't even smell that, it just makes me want to be sick. That's how it works. But also our environment. And you were saying that you went to do, what was it, a marathon in...
some crazy race, yeah.
Yeah, and ridiculous amount of miles. You were with 6 people, right?
Yeah.
Those 6 people were motivating each other. They're hyping each other up. They're getting everyone excited about this race. Imagine if all 5 of them, and you were the only one going, yeah, let's do this. And the other 5 people are just like, I'm tired, I can't be bothered. Like, naturally, the vibe just drops down, doesn't it? And you say you walk into a room and you can slice the tension with a knife because it's that like, oh, I don't like this. It's so true. When the vibe is good, it enriches everyone, it enlifts everyone to really just feel better about themselves. So what is going on around us and our actions is how we start to act out in our life. Like I can say I want to run, but if I don't actually start running, nothing's going to change. So it's very easy to say something, but we need to start to put place into actions, or put actions in place, sorry. And how do we actually rewire our subconscious mind is probably what a lot of people are thinking. Next time, I'll be having that. So how do we rewire our subconscious mind? Because that's effectively, like, you can talk about it as much as you want. You're just like, well, how do I actually make these shifts? If you want to use it to become a better runner, to run further, to reduce anxiety, to reduce depression, all these type of things, it's more than possible. Like I said, I started with all of that stuff. I used to be pretty much a drug addict. I used to take cocaine like 5-6 times a week. And I messed myself up massively. Then I had really bad anxiety, which stopped me going out. So then I needed to make these changes in my life because it was like, I either continue down the road and probably end up killing myself, if I'm being honest, or I start to make these changes, and it wasn't easy. I'm not going to say it was, and just wiping out these fears and anxieties isn't easy because there's a lot of pain that comes up with it. We have to sort of go back and feel what went on. We have to feel the pain of what was there in order to heal it. Feeling really is healing. That's where it starts. But I will show you guys this. This is the brainwaves. You don't really need to know this, but if you can see the little squiggles, I actually drew them. That is what it will look like on an EEG machine. If anyone is familiar with what an EEG machine is, it just reads, it's called an encephalograph or something. And what it does, it reads your brain waves. Now, everyone sitting here is most likely in alpha. You're sitting here, you're relaxed, you're chilling out. In your everyday life, like right now, I'll be in beta. Beta is like waking consciousness every day. I'm just sitting here, I'm just sort of, I know what I'm doing, everyone else is just chilling out. If you go into high beta, then that's where anxiety is caused, all these type of really scary thoughts. You start to sit here, you start to get all nervous. You notice how you're feeling, that's high beta. So when we relax, everyone here is probably so relaxed, you're probably just either feeling, I don't know, chilled out, maybe you're still out of breath from the run, I probably would be. But understanding the brainwaves and how we can get to these deeper brainwaves where we can actually change it is where the change takes place. Now, the reason children aged 0 to 7 are so malleable is because they're in a brainwave called theta, and this is what deep meditation and hypnosis gets you to that brainwave. So the reason a child can pick up an airplane and they can be running around the room with it thinking they're an astronaut or thinking they're a pilot or whatever is because they can imagine that. And hypnosis is just based on our imagination. If you can imagine something so deeply, then you can get yourself into a nice relaxing place of hypnosis, which will allow you to create a new way of thinking and effectively create new connections in the mind. And that's how it really works. And from ages 0 to 2, we're in delta. So that's just deep sleep. And obviously, that's why kids are just naturally like that, with their eyes open. They don't have a clue what's going on. They're effectively asleep with their eyes open. That's what it is. So if you've ever seen anyone asleep with their eyes open, it looks pretty creepy, doesn't it? That's what kids are doing, effectively. But when we start to get past age 7, that's when we start to have a conscious mind. Well, age 13 is when we have a full conscious mind, but we start to develop a conscious mind. And the conscious mind is where we can start to think for ourselves. We start to look where we can fit in with other people. We start to look at, why are people doing this? Why can't I think this way? And they say teenagers, they can be a nightmare because they start to think for themselves. Whereas kids, they look up to their parents. They look up to people around them. They look up to these athletes. They look up to all these people because they want to be like them. And you ask, I don't know, when I was a kid, I don't even know why I wanted to be a doctor. I don't know why, because I'm not academic at all. But I always wanted to be a doctor. I'd always dress up as a doctor, which made me feel like a doctor because I could imagine it, which made me actually feel like I was a real doctor. Obviously, I'm not. But then you have got another brainwave called gamma, but this is more of a heightened perception, and this is where I've only really reached this brainwave a few times through very deep meditation, and it's so mind-blowing. It's like taking LSD. Like, I've never taken LSD. I've done ayahuasca, if anyone's familiar with what ayahuasca is. I've done that over in Peru, which is just like it's a hallucinogen literally with shamans in the mountains. It's scary stuff. But I've had some very crazy experiences with meditation where I feel like I'm in a different place, that I'm sitting there and I'm like, I actually don't know where I am right now. I can't remember because I was in such a heightened perception. And when you're in that brainwave, you can really just start to create everything, and imagination just goes wild. And I'm sitting there, I'm like imagining myself doing the things I want to do, being the person I want to be. And even down to like things like this, me talking in front of people, when I was so nervous of this kind of stuff, like right now, I really don't feel nervous. Obviously, it's like I want to do good. I want to help people. I want to do this stuff, but I really don't feel nervous. I've seen videos of myself and my friend once, my work colleague. I was presenting in front of 10 people, and after he was like, "Mate, I was nervous for you." I was like, "Was I that bad?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Well, thanks for boosting my ego a bit," but and I was so nervous. I was literally sitting there like that. Yeah. So today I'm talking about, and you can see it in someone when they're not relaxed, whereas I've practiced speaking in front of people so many times in here that my brain believes that I've done it. And effectively, all I say to people is I'm helping you trick your brain to think and feel in a different way that you've done something like this before. Because there was a screenshot. I don't have the screenshot anymore. I couldn't find it. I was going to put it in here to show everyone. But when you watch someone, when you imagine yourself do something, you create a certain amount of connections in the brain. And it's not exactly like this, but let's say you create 5 connections in your brain from imagining yourself doing it. When you watch someone do it, you create, let's say, 7 or 8. But when you actually do it, you create like 15, 16 connections. So it's more potent when you actually do something versus just imagining it. But I always say, why not start before we can run, sort of thing. Like you can't get to the top of that staircase without taking step 1, 2, or 3. Why not just start taking those few first steps and imagine yourself doing it? So if someone in here wants to improve their running ability, and let's say you can run 3K, 5K, I don't know, let's say you want to do a marathon, I always say start in here, and then eventually you can start to do one more K each day, just doing one more. And then I actually created a meditation challenge on my YouTube channel to help people with meditation, starting at 3 minutes, and then every day just increasing it by a minute, so that you're naturally just doing a little bit more each day, which then starts to boost your ability to say, okay, so by the start, I was doing 3 minutes of meditation. By the end, I'm doing 32 minutes. If I say to someone now who's never meditated before, who hasn't meditated before? Anyone? Yeah. If I said to you right now, meditate for 30 minutes, you're going to be like, oh, I've never done it before, so why would I jump in the deep end? Do you know what I mean? It's just a little bit difficult to start something we've never done. So start as an amateur and admit that we are an amateur when we start it. I was saying to these guys before when I first started hypnosis is about being confident and convincing someone that you can hypnotize them effectively. I asked the person that I hypnotized, I was like, are you actually hypnotized? So straight away, rule 1 of hypnosis was just out the window. It just didn't work. But then I realized, so I always say to people, if you feel like you failed at something you're doing, that's how I started hypnosis. But now I can hypnotize people on the spot in an instant, and don't worry, I won't do it with anyone. But I will teach you self-hypnosis, but it won't be anything ridiculously deep. So we need to realize that we need to evolve past our current circumstances. So if we believe we can run 5K, and we don't believe we can do any more, then immediately we're putting our block on ourselves to say, that's it, I can only do 5K. And you said you're running you're doing the marathon. Yeah. Have you run a marathon before? Yeah. You have? Okay, perfect. So you've already got a belief that it's possible for you to do it. My belief right now is there's no way I could run a marathon because I haven't put myself in a position to even run 15K. I think when I used to run, I'm not a good runner. Probably why I didn't go out with you guys. I did sprain my ankle, and I'm saying that's the universe saying to me, like, just don't do it because you don't want to look at forward. Everyone running off, just me standing in the background, like hyperventilating. But it took me a while to build up from 1K to 2K to 3K to 4K to 5K. But my belief right now is there's no way I could run a marathon. And that is my current belief. And not for me to say it pessimistic because I'm a very optimistic person, but I just say take it in steps. Start with 1K, then 5K, then 10K, then 15K, and progressively get yourself there. And even to someone who's never been to the gym before, why say to someone, right, I'm going to the gym, I'm doing 7 days a week, I'm only drinking protein shakes and eating salads, I'm doing 7 days a week, 2 hours a day, every day for the next year. After week 1, how many people are going to be doing that? Not many. There's not many, is there? Even like I've tried to do it and it's not feasible for me. But that is a feasible thing for a lot of people. Some people do generally go twice a day, 2 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I'm just like, I salute you, but there's no way I'm going to do that. That's some people's lifestyle. So when we can evolve past our current circumstances, say, oh, I can only do this, but I can move to here, that's when we start to make shifts. And Albert Einstein, I love quotes. I've got millions of my favorite quotes. But one of Albert Einstein's is, we can't solve a problem with the same level of thinking we used to create it. So the person I am today can't be the person I want to be tomorrow if I stay the same as I am today. So it all starts with a thought. If I think, and if you've ever heard of the belief cycle, if you guys are into personal development, or if you know Tony Robbins, he talks about the belief cycle. A thought leads to a feeling leads to an action leads to a result, and a result leads back to another thought. To either say, I told you I couldn't do that, I told you you were stupid, I told you you were worthless, or I tell you what, you smashed that, you did amazing, you can do better next time, you're great, all this kind of stuff. And it all starts with that initial thought, and we start to get ourselves into a bit of a loop. So just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. Just because I can sit on the sofa and eat crisps, eat chips, drink fizzy drinks constantly and never eat healthy foods, just because I can do that doesn't mean I should do that. But who am I to judge if someone wants to do that? If that generally makes someone happy, that's all I really care about at the end of the day. If you're happy doing what you're doing, that's it. But I truly believe that in order to be happy in life, there's got to be some sort of growth. That's why you guys are here. You guys are here to either become better runners, improve your cardiovascular health, to look better, to feel better. You're doing it for one certain reason, or maybe a few certain reasons. And everyone here, some people may be doing it for one reason, and some people be doing it for different reasons. And there's no one reason that works. And change only really occurs when we, the formula for change is knowledge plus experience equals change. And if we go to this slide here, how do we actually begin to change our reality? It only actually takes a second. Does anyone in here smoke? No? Amazing. Love that. Love that. Love that. If someone wants to stop smoking, for example, what do you think is the logical thing? You just don't pick up another cigarette. It makes sense, right? You want to stop smoking, stop picking up cigarettes. You want to get into shape, go running, come to these running clubs, eat healthier foods. If you want to be more productive, remove distractions. But why can't most people just do it like that? Why can't most people? Because there's an addiction to it. We're habitual. Again, the mind works 95% of our life habitually. So what we've done the day before, 95% is going to be the same as we do today. There's going to be a few different things here and there. Like normally I don't drive up to London, but today that was 5% of my mind today was driving up to London, me sitting here talking to you guys and explaining it. But effectively, in order to make change, we just need to make that decision to make the change. Now, the reason people make the change is the leverage they have. If there's two people and one of them, a doctor says to one of them, I recommend you should eat healthier foods. They're going to be like, okay, cool, I'll think about it. Versus the other person, let's say person B, if you don't eat healthy foods from now on and if you only eat junk food from now on, you will die within 5 days. The leverage is huge. They're going to make that shift and they're going to say, right, that's it, I need to eat healthy. It's not like, I should do it. It's like, no, I've got 5 days to start eating healthy or I'm going to be dead. So they're going to naturally go and make those changes to start eating healthier because the leverage is massive. If someone says, again, you smoke one more cigarette, you're going to be dead, versus if you stop, it will be beneficial for you, or you shouldn't smoke. If we make that decision, the leverage is huge. And if we've got that leverage, that's when it's going to change our life. But as I said, the reason change is so hard is because our emotional mind jumps in and goes, oh, but I want that other cigarette. Oh, but I want that junk food because it makes me feel something. And when we start to realize our emotions, why we're feeling these certain ways, that's when we're going to make these changes in our life.